All right, let's jump right in. We're about to pull back the curtain on a pattern that's hidden in plain sight, in history, in finance, everywhere. It's the pattern that decides who crumbles under pressure and who is left standing when it's all over. You know how we usually think about failure, right? It's a single dramatic event, a stock market crash, a huge scandal, some big shocking moment that seems to come out of nowhere. But what if that's not the real story? In fact, what if that's not even the most important part of the story? Think about this. What if that fatal blow, that big event, isn't the cause of the collapse at all? What if it's just the moment a pre-existing weakness, one that was there the whole time, is finally exposed for the world to see? Now that changes everything. It means failure isn't something that happens to you, it's a condition you were already in.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The goal isn't to be untouchable, it's to be unbreakable. The most durable systems, the strongest companies, the most resilient people, they aren't the ones who manage to dodge every single hit. No way. They're the ones who are built with the flexibility to take a punch, absorb it, and just keep right on moving.
So, this brings us to a huge misunderstanding that's really at the heart of almost every major collapse you can think of. We constantly mistake the appearance of strength for the real thing. Let's break this down. On one side, you have stability, and yeah, it looks fantastic when everything's going perfectly. It's efficient, it's optimized, it's totally rigid. But then, on the other side, you have resilience, and this is the real deal. It's all about being flexible, having a buffer, and being built for a world that, let's be honest, is rarely perfect. It's kind of like the difference between a glass statue and a tree in a hurricane. The statue shatters, the tree bends and survives. And you see this illusion play out over and over in the real world. History has this crazy pattern where our confidence is at its absolute peak right before the floor drops out. In 1928, everyone was convinced the good times would last forever. In 2007, the smartest guys in the room thought they had literally engineered risk out of the financial system. In both cases, people confused a period of calm for permanent strength. So, if this weakness is so well hidden, where does it actually come from? Well, the really surprising part is that it isn't born in a crisis. It's born in comfort, when everything feels easy. And a huge piece of this puzzle is a concept called leverage. Now, in finance, it means using borrowed money. But you can think of it as a life principle, too. It means relying on something external that you don't actually control. It feels like a brilliant shortcut when times are good, right? It makes your wins bigger. But when things turn, it makes your losses catastrophic. And this is the danger zone. When everything is booming, fueled by good times and a ton of leverage, the system feels invincible. All the numbers look amazing, the headlines are glowing, recklessness gets rewarded and looks like genius, while anyone who's cautious is called a pessimist. This quote just captures that psychology perfectly. When a trend seems like it's never going to end, we start to believe it can't. And that one belief, that the good times are here to stay, is exactly what sets the trap for the inevitable collapse. Because here's the thing about every system, no matter how stable it looks on the surface, eventually it will face pressure. A rate hike, a market shock, a sudden loss of public trust. And that is the moment of truth. And when it happens, it is brutally fast. First, the pressure arrives. All of a sudden, that leverage that made you feel so smart becomes a death trap you can't escape. Then, as the first dominoes start to fall, panic just spreads like wildfire, and fear completely takes over, pulling down even systems that seemed totally fine. And this, right here, is probably the single most important takeaway from all of this. A storm doesn't make a house weak. It reveals that the foundation was built on sand the whole time. The crisis isn't the cause of the failure. It's just the final, undeniable proof. Okay, so if that's the blueprint for failure, let's flip it on its head. What's the architecture of resilience? How do you actually build something that doesn't just look strong, but truly is? It really boils down to these three core traits. First, having a margin of safety. A buffer, some room for error when things inevitably go wrong. Second, adaptability, being willing and able to change when the world around you changes. And third, having internal control, building your strength on things you actually own and manage, not on fragile external conditions you can't predict. And here's the secret weapon of the truly resilient. They don't just get through the chaos, they use it. While all their fragile competitors are panicking and selling everything off, the strong are calmly repositioning, often buying up great assets for pennies on the dollar. See, what is chaos for the weak is pure opportunity for the strong.
So we've seen this pattern play out through history, but the billion-dollar question is, does it apply to us right now? Is this ancient blueprint for collapse happening all around us today?
Well, just look at the signs. We have record levels of debt, both for governments and corporations. We have entire businesses, entire careers, built on the whims of social media algorithms that nobody controls. We live in a culture that rewards speed and visibility, often at the direct expense of durability. And the data tells a pretty stark story. The overwhelming majority of startups, which are often super leveraged for fast growth, end up failing. Viral creators, who are completely dependent on a fragile external platform, often vanish as quickly as they appeared. This pattern of rapid, fragile success, it's everywhere. So let's bring it all home. First, please remember that stability is not the same as strength. True strength is only ever proven when things get tough. Second, be really suspicious of fast growth. It's often just hiding a weak foundation. And finally, if your entire system, your business, your career, your finances, needs perfect conditions to survive, well then its collapse isn't a possibility, it's an inevitability. And this really leaves us with one final, deeply personal question. The next time of pressure isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you have to ask yourself, honestly, looking at how you've built things in your own life, if the conditions that support you suddenly changed tomorrow, are you built to bend, to adapt, and to remain? Or would you just break?